Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing a walkthrough of the TryHackMe Dogcat challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and start things off by doing some banner grabbing with curl. So you can do curl-v and then you just want to paste the website IP. And this is just going to basically show you the headers that it has set. So we can see that it is being hosted on Apache 2.4.38 on a Debian-based Linux distribution. And you can see the actual content is being powered by PHP version 7.4.3. Now, I already have Burp Sweep running, and I actually highly recommend that you do a lot of this lab through Burp Sweep. So go ahead and open that if you don't already have it open. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and just click Open Browser, and I'm going to paste the website in here so we can just kind of get a basic understanding of what's being presented. You can see that there is a button called a dog, and if you look to the bottom left, it takes you to the URL view equals dog, and then if you hover over a cat, it's the same thing. It takes you to a URL where the view equals cat. So let's go ahead and start with the dog one. And you can see it prints you out a really nice picture of a dog. And if we go to a cat, it gives you a cat, right? So again, if you look at this URL up here, you can see how there's this URL parameter called view, and it changes depending on which one we click. So we know that already this website is being powered by PHP. And one of the most common ways in PHP to host files is by using an include statement. An include statement basically is a way of importing either local files on the host machine or sometimes remote files into a web page. Now this can be dangerous because include doesn't just show plain text. It actually executes and evaluates any code that is included. As a hacker, this is important to us because we can include anything in this. We can include, what if we can include password D or index.php? What if we can actually look at the source code? Let's go ahead and let's try to do that. So let's just go up here and say view equals index.php. And it says, sorry, only dogs and cats are allowed. So let's go ahead and go back real quick. And if you actually click on one of these images and do inspect here on this image, you can see that the image source is dogs and then this 9.jpg. So if we go up here, right, and we paste this in here, dogs/9.jpg, you can see it pulls up the same reference image. And I'm sure if we do, 8, it pulls up, another image, 7, and so on and so on. And if we go back and we do the same thing for cats, you can see it's the same thing. So if we actually go back to the same message we were at before, you can see it says, sorry, only dogs and cats are allowed. So to me, this looks like that whatever I put in this view parameter, it's checking to see if the word dog and cat is presented. Now, we already know that there's a dogs and cats directory hosting these images, right? And we also know that, we don't know, but we're presuming that it's using an include statement to include these images. So what we can do is we can actually use the .. just like you would command line, right? So if I open up my terminal and I do cd ... you can see my directory went back one, right? And now if I go into Dogcat, that's the original directory I was in. So we can actually use that in a URL, right? So what if we said, hey, go inside the dogs directory, right? And that's gonna match the keyword check. And then we're gonna say .. /index.php. So, and let's press enter. And you can see we get an error here. We get warning, include dogs, and then .. index.php.php. Failed to open stream, no such file. Now, it looks like whoever coded this, whoever set this up, set up a security measure so that it appends the .php extension onto whatever we put here, right? So let's go ahead and also this does tell us that they are using the include statement. They are using the PHP include statement. So let's go ahead and just get rid of this .php here. And you can see we get a different error. So it says cannot redeclare contain stir previously declared. So this is happening because this page right here, I'm gonna open this up again. This page right here, this is index.php. It's the default page being hosted. So if we try to we're basically, what we were doing right here is we're re-including the same file on top of each other. So it's just giving us an error. So we need to find a way to present this file, right, to give us this file, but for it not to be evaluated, because whatever code is being included is being executed, which it doesn't just print it out in plain text. It's executing the code in index.php, which is causing a redeclare error. So what we can actually do to bypass this is use PHP filters. So PHP filters are basically a way for you to change the data that you're being presented. So we can do this by actually going up here, and I'm going to copy what we have right here. I'm going to copy this. And what we want to do is we want to say PHP filter, and then we're going to do convert.base64/encode, and then we want to say resource equals, and then you want to paste that directory. So what we're doing here is this PHP filter this is a PHP wrapper. So we're basically telling it, PHP, to, instead of just pulling whatever we put here, to then filter it, and then we're gonna want to convert base64 the contents of this file. So we're telling PHP to use a wrapper to convert the content of this file right here, dogs index, and then remember, it's appending PHP to this. So let's go ahead and press enter. And you can see we get this base64 string here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna copy this, and I'm gonna look up base64 code. Go ahead and get the junk in front of it out, click decode, and you can see that we have the source code for index.php. So I'm gonna open this in another terminal so we can get a better look at this. So here's the actual code for the index.php. This is the function that was causing the redeclare issue. So when we were importing index.php, this function was getting redefined, which caused the error, which means we couldn't see the content. And right under that, you can see this extension right here. ext is equal to, so this get parameter basically is the web request. So you can see right here, this one's checking to see the view, if the view parameter is set. So basically it's checking to see if the ext URL parameter is set, and if it's not set, then we're gonna go ahead and set it to .php. So this is this is what's causing .php to be appended to the actual URL. And under that, we can see if the view parameter is set, check to see if dog or cat is in the view parameter. And if it is, echo out, here you go, and then include the actual document that we have in the view parameter, and then add on the extension here. Otherwise, if it failed to find any of the keywords, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to print this message out. So let's go ahead and go back, knowing that we now can manually set this extension variable. So let's go ahead and let's try to read the password file. So to do that, what we can do is, we don't need the PHP filter right now, because we only really needed this because we needed to read a PHP file. Now we're just going to be reading plain text, so we don't have to worry about the code evaluating and crashing whatever we want to see. So what we can do is view, and then you want to do dogs, right? Because that's the directory that that's one of the keywords it needs. / // / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / / and then etc, and the extension, right? This is the URL parameter for the extension, is going to be password D. So I'm going to go ahead and break this down a little bit more on what we're doing. So we're going to be viewing, we're going inside the dogs directory, right? That's so we can avoid the keyword check. Then we're going to go back a directory, right? Back a directory, back a directory, back a directory to hopefully get to that /etc directory. So what I'm talking about here is if I'm on my desktop right now, so I'm gonna go inside my ZMU files here, and if I just do cd ..back etc, you can see my directory change to /etc, which is just where is it? Which is right here. So it's just in the root directory, right? So basically what I'm telling it to do is go back to the root directory, go to etc, and then remember, if we don't set this ext parameter right here, it's going to append .php. So instead what I'm doing is I'm just saying, hey, instead of using that extension PHP, just use password D. So just open, I guess we need this // here. So instead what it's going to do is just append this password D right here. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And I actually like doing Control U here because it actually shows the new lines. And you can see that it printed this out. So I'm going to stop messing around with it in here. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to go to WebSockets or HTTP history. I'm going to go to the very bottom here. I'm going to click this one, and I'm just going to do send a repeater. Just go ahead and send it real quick. And you can see, it just has this nice little format so we can edit the request manually here. So we saw the etc, or I'm sorry, we have the password D file. Let's kind of browse through it to see what we can find. We have a root that has bash, and honestly that's about it. Every other user here does not have a shell. They're all just standard users. We have the www data. This is probably the user hosting the web server, but it doesn't have a direct login, so it's set up properly. So let's go ahead and try to find some more information about this website. So we know that it's running Apache. We know this because of the banner grabbing we did earlier in the headers, right? So let's go ahead and try to pull up the access log. So to do that, the access log is for Apache is typically stored in var log/apache2, and then the file name is access.log. So same thing here, we're just going to the root directory. We just went back all the way to go to the root directory, and then we're going to log apache2, and then we want the file access.log. So we're gonna go ahead and click send. And you can see it worked, right? So these are all the web requests. You can see curl right now, or right here. These are all the web requests that we sent to this server. Mine's probably a little bit more full than yours. So what does this mean to us? So you have to remember that the code for this, I'm actually going to pull it back up. The code for this includes this page, right? And include from the documentation states that this dynamically adds and executes all code in this page, right? It executes the code. It doesn't matter if it's plain text. If we're able to write to it, and we put code in there, it's going to execute it. So what am I talking about? So if we go back to this file here, you can see this user agent right here. We are able to write to this user agent in this log file. You can see it's right here. So what if we replace this user agent with PHP code, right? And then we include the same log file as before, and that PHP code executes. So what we can do is I'm gonna pass the following PHP code right here. And now what this is doing is, once again, you see this $_get. This is setting a new URL parameter for CMD. And it's saying, hey, you're gonna fetch the CMD parameter that we can set up here, and then you're just gonna execute it and echo back the contents of it. So I'm gonna send it one time just like this, and that just pushed this code to this log file. It's probably not gonna show it now, but if I'm gonna go back. There we go, and I'm gonna send it again. You can see it says system cannot execute a blank command. So this worked. And this, by the way, I don't know if I said this already, this is called log poisoning. So what we're doing right now is we're log poisoning. So now what we can do is we can go up here and we can say cmd equals ls, right? And then let's do ampersand. So now we're saying get access log. We're saying the command is ls, and we want to view this file. So let's go ahead and click send. And you can see it works. So you can see these are the files on the actual system. So let's go ahead. You can see there's a flag.php. Let's go ahead and include this file. So what we can do actually is, we don't need this extension because it's a PHP file. So I'm going to get rid of this. You can keep this CMD. I'm going to keep that. And then I'm just going to do /flag.php. And I think this should work. Send. Oh, whoops. Oh, that's right. So because this is a PHP file, it's just executing, and we can't actually see the contents of it. So we actually need to use those PHP filters again. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and just paste this in here. So same thing as before, PHP filter. This is the wrapper we're choosing. We're gonna base 16 for the content, and the resource is going to be the dogs flag, and then it's gonna append the .php here. So I'm gonna click send. You can see it base 64'd it, and you can actually just highlight this, and then I think it has, oh yeah, right here, decoded from base 64, and then this is the flag right here. So this is not cat dog. So that's the first flag. Let's go ahead and let's go back. You can click this back arrow just to go back. So let's go ahead and do that and go back to the original response. Click that again. We still have the file. So let's go ahead and do who am I, and we're probably going to be that www data user that we found earlier. Oh my goodness, who am I? It's kind of hard to see. Maybe if I search www data. Yeah, so you can see it says www data right here. So that's the user. Pretty hard to spot, right? So let's go ahead and let's get a reverse shell going so we don't have to deal with this anymore. To do this, we're gonna execute the reverse shell through PHP. So we already know that this system's running PHP. It should have PHP installed. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste this shell in here. And what you want to do actually is you want to make sure that you have the right IP import set, and B, you want to highlight the whole shell, and then you want to do right click, sorry, and then you want to do convert selection to URL, and then you want to do encode key characters. And so this is going to encode the content so that the website's properly able to pass it on. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start a reverse shell, or we're going to start a shell listener here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do nc-nlvp, and I'm going to be doing this on port 80, and we need sudo access to do that. So go ahead and do sudo nc. So we have this set up, and let's go ahead and click send. So you can see the request is halting, and we have a shell. Nice. So you can see that we're www data, and this is the content of the var www HTML file, same as what we saw before, right? So let's go ahead and try to escalate our privileges. Let's go ahead and search for set UID programs. So we can do find, and then we're gonna do /name, or sorry, -perm, and then we're gonna do -4000, and then you wanna do 2 greater than /dev/null. And there you go. So we can see that we have the env binary. We are able to run this with escalated privileges, and env is a GTFO bin. So just like the previous challenge I did, if env has the SUID privileges, you can escalate our privileges. So let's go ahead and we can just search env, right? And it tells us that we are just able to run the shell directly. So if we just run env bin-sh or bin-bash, we should be able to break out of the restricted environments. And it does note that on some systems like Debian, which we are running, that we found from the banner grabbing, we might have to use the -p option to allow us to run with SUID privileges. So let's go ahead and exploit that with env. And then you want to do /bin/bash, and then you want to do this /p parameter the /p parameter to allow us to open bash with set UID properties. And let's do who am I, and you can see we're root. Nice. So let's go ahead and use the find command again to see if we can find any flags on this machine. So let's do find /name, and then want to do flag, and then I'm just gonna do star, and then once again I'm gonna reroute all the errors to dev/null. So it printed out a bunch of stuff here. You can see that at the top here, it printed out root flag3.txt, flag2.txt. So let's go ahead and print these out. So I'm gonna go do copy this, and I'm gonna do cat, and there's that one. There's one of the flags, and then I'm gonna go back up, and I'm gonna cat out the root flag. So cat, and there we go. Nice. So we have the root flag. So you're probably wondering what you have to do next. And if we actually go to the root directory and do ls-loss to long and to show hidden files, you can see that there's a docker env file. So this machine is basically, or the machine that we're currently in is a Docker container. So a Docker container is pretty much a virtual machine. In this case, it's a virtual machine hosting this web service, so that he can just start the Docker machine and it's going to start up this web service. So it's all compartmentalized into one place, right? So that if a hacker does get into the Docker environment, they're still restricted. They don't have full access, right? So let's go ahead and try to escape this Docker environment. So what I did actually is, if you look around a bit and you go into the op directory, you can see that there's a backups folder. So let's go ahead and go cd backups, do ls. You can see that there is a backup.sh. And it looks like it tars the root/container folder. Now, if we actually just ls root, you can see that there's no container folder, right? Now, you have to remember that this is because we are in the Docker machine. So this script probably gets executed on the host machine. You can mount certain spots of your hard drive to talk to the Docker machine. So let's go ahead and try to inject a reverse backdoor into this. And maybe whenever it runs, it will allow us to connect to the host machine rather than the Docker. So I'm gonna actually start another local listener. I'm gonna say nc-nlvp 9090. And then back here, I'm gonna run the command, make sure I'm in the right directory here. I'm gonna do cd opt backups ls, yep, so the backup.sh. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and paste this command in here. So this basically is I'm actually gonna change this to 9000. So basically what this is doing is it's echoing a bash reverse shell into the backup script. So I'm gonna go ahead and press enter, and hopefully this backup script is being run on a cron tab or somehow being executed in the background. So I'm gonna go ahead and wait a little bit, and you can see it worked. So it looks like the host machine ran that job. As soon as you enter the netcat session, you can use ls to then cat out the final flag file. I'm not going to be showing it in this video. I really encourage you guys to do this lab by yourself. Even though I showed you, you can solve this lab in different ways. You know, try fiddling around with discovering more files in the directory traversal. You know, you can really learn a lot from this lab. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If there's anything you want me to check out, please let me know.